Assalamu alaikum. Today's tutorial is going to be about Excel bar charts, but instead of a simple bar chart, we are going to convert that bar chart into an infographic. You must have seen these infographics on net. These are very popular. These are just like graphs, but with icons. Icons make everything beautiful. I love icons. And now I'm going to show you how to add icons or shapes or even different pictures to your graphs. The good thing is going to be that you can actually take any pictures from the net and apply them on a graph, and that's going to be a dynamic graph, which means that as your data changes, the graph actually or the icons location change as well. Many of the infographics that you see on the net are made in a graphic software, so these are static. So if tomorrow when the data changes, they will have to manually manipulate their location in a graphic software. But how to do that in an Excel with a dynamic method and prepare a beautiful graph, that's what I'm going to show you. So let's go.
Now here is my data table which I want to convert into a info chart. It's very simple. It has some males, females, and uh, accordingly you can have more data as you wish. But to keep this example simple, I'm just using a males and females example. So to create an info chart, first of course we would need a simple chart. So while my data is here, I will go to chart and let's start with the 2D bar chart. So this is the very basic bar chart that I want to start with, but later on of course we are going to modify this bar chart into a shape that we like more. Let me first quickly switch the style from chart design to something closer to what I want to achieve, whichever one you want. Once you have a base style which you want to start with, then you are going to start modifying this chart. And the first thing that I want to start doing is remove unnecessary elements from my chart which I don't want to be seen. For example, grid lines. And now I want to add, my numbers are already here, but I want to add icons to my info chart. So to do that, you right click, you select a data series, right click on it and go to format data series. Now if you go to format data series, you will see an option that you can actually have it fill with a picture style. Well, there is an option, I will show it to you on how you can actually change the shape. Let it be a tip for this tutorial. That's not what I'm going to actually do. So for example, you can have any shape represent this bar. For example, let me select an arrow shape. I'm going to draw this arrow. It can be any picture or it can be any graphic that you draw yourself. Once you have that in Excel temporarily, you can press Ctrl C to copy it, and once you have pressed Ctrl C, go back, select the data series within your Excel graph and paste it. If you select one, it will only apply to that. If you let me undo it, and if I click outside, just click, and right now both the data series are selected, and if I press paste, then it will apply this shape to both of them. And that's how you can actually apply different shapes to your bar chart. But this is not what I'm going to do, because what this actually does is that it replaces all your bar chart with it. It doesn't add it as an icon, it just replaces it with a picture. And you start seeing another option here which is called the picture source. So you can now change this picture source to something from the internet, from clip arts, from icons, from a file. Right now I'm using the picture source from clipboard because I copy pasted it. And even later on you can actually apply a texture to that area as well. But again, that's not what I'm going to do. So let me undo this. I'm okay with the square graphics. The only thing that I would like to change in this is that I want to add an icon. So by having this is not serving me the purpose. By copy pasting just the picture shape is not serving me the purpose. This can be a tip for another time, maybe you need to use it. Now let's try to add an icon to this. To add an icon, what I'm going to do is first I need to have that icon available. So go to insert. Again, it can be an online picture, a clip art, but there are some icons available in newer versions of Excel as well. So I'm going to quickly pick two icons that I want to use here. So I'm going to have a male shoe and a heel of female shoe to represent male and female. Of course I can have some other graphics as well. There are a lot of icons available, even male and female icons are available, but right now I'm just going to go ahead with this, and these two icons are now available with me. So I will come to that later. For the time being I just want to have the correct size. So yeah, the size will work. Let me make, and whatever this size is, go to graphic format. So it's 0.38 inch. I will change this manually to 0.38 inch as well, so that they are matching in size. Alright, so these are the icons. I will leave them here for now, which I am going to use. Now just like the example that I showed you, that I can use any picture, any graphic to replace a bar. If I have any dot on this graph, I can use any of the pictures that I have to replace that as well. So I want to have actually another series added in it, which is to which we are going to change to the XY scatter graph. The XY scatter graph, if you guys have used it before, adds a point in x-axis and y-axis and plots it on your graph as well. Now to add the icon, we are going to add a scatter graph. Let me keep it here so that I have more data to show you. So since I'm going to use a scatter point graph for this, so a scatter point plots a dot based on x and y value. So my icon is going to have an x value and my icon is going to have a y value. The x value for the time being is going to be 34. For the time being I'm going to keep this as 34 as well. What Excel has done by default, since this is a table, so it added these as values. Doesn't matter, it's only going to be limited to one value. So first thing I'm going to fix in this is select the data, and from selecting the data I'm going to delete one of these, because let me say I just remove one, because only one is going to be my dot, the other is for information for that same point, and you will see that in a moment. So once I've done this, what I'm going to do is change its data type to an XY scatter graph. So change series chart type. So I want to say my icon Y is not a clustered bar, my icon Y is actually an XY scattered dot. So automatically it puts it on a secondary axis. So your primary axis is going to be male female, so it doesn't understand that. So automatically it made a new axis on the right hand side and plotted it there, and that's okay. We are going to fix that later, but for now I have a new secondary axis. Leave it there for the time being, and I'm going to have my two new icons. 12 actually represents females and 34 represents male. Now their x and y location we are going to fix. Go to select data again. Now this icon, if I go to edit, it doesn't matter what name it is, what it is doing is it's taking its x value from here, and that's why this is not coming right as we want. So first thing I'm going to do is delete this and take this value from these columns. So as soon as I do this, now you can see the x-axis for 34 it's coming at 34, and for y for females it's the x-axis is coming at the right location. Only the y value is coming at the wrong locations. So we will fix that as well, but for the timing at least it's picking up the value from this column. So the x value is being picked from this, which is correct, and y value is being picked from this, and we are going to adjust these numbers to bring the icon in the right location. Now we could have just moved these graphs here, but it wouldn't be dynamic, it wouldn't move. So tomorrow if the number of female employees change, this graph will not move, and that's something which is not acceptable. And that's why we are doing this icon, we are linking this so that we have a dynamic link here. Now first thing I'm going to do is, for this graph, on my properties of the secondary axis, so there is a minimum and a maximum. For my ease, I'm going to actually change it from 0 to 1. Right now I can see that my females is coming at around 80%, and for males it's coming at around 25%. So 75% and 25% of your total graph, that's the midpoint of these. So this is going to be, the male is going to be at 0.25, and for females the value is going to be, why you were not seeing these values before, because I changed it from 0 to 1 and the value is showing 12, so of course the graph is going outside the bounds. But now as soon as I change this number, it's come back into the right position, and this is at around 75% of my graph. So put at 75, and it has come exactly in the center. Now I'm going to do the same thing which I did in the start, remove those things from the graph which I don't need. So for example, the secondary axis, I'm going to select it and press delete. It's gone. The label, data label for these graphs, I don't need to see, so I'm going to delete it. And now my dots are coming in the correct location where they're supposed to. So tomorrow if the number of employees change, this y has now become a static value, which is correct, because for a graph which is only of two values, that's 25% and 75% is going to remain static. So let's say if tomorrow the number of female employees changes to 40, the graph moves with it, because the value of x-axis is changing with the females, whereas the y-axis is a static. So now everything is making more sense. Let me change it back, and it moves back. Now just like I showed you the tip for changing the shape of the bar itself, same thing we can do with the dot, and that's what we started with, that's what we wanted to do with these icons. If you want to change their color, now is the time that before you copy paste them, change their color, tone. You can go to graphic format and let's say change even the graphic fill and have them of different colors. Okay, so that's your choice. Let's say this graph, I'm going to have a color fill of light gray, so that's what I want. For male, the shoe is going to be, let's say, dark blue, and for female it's going to be something like red. So once I have these, of course the number is now no longer visible, the data label, and I'm going to change that to black. Now for I'm going to copy this. For the mail, I'm going to click this, double again, click it 2 times, and then only this graphic will be selected, and for mail, paste it. And instead of the dot, a shoe has come. Copy the female one, click 1 time, and both will be selected. Click another time, and only this point will be selected, and paste the female shoe. Now the infographic is at the location, and whenever I actually change now this, so automatically my values, the icon moves with them. Now let's fix the location of these icons. First of all, for the data labels, I want them aligned, let's say, to the left side. So click the data labels, and on my properties menu you will see the label position. So it's on the inside end. So this is the end, and it's showing it on the inside. I'm going to say I can choose center, or inside base is where I want it to show, which is on the left side. Now for my icon itself, I want it slightly moved back. Right now this is showing at the same location, where exactly at the same location, but I can put a formula here that it's slightly always less than the other counterpart. So let's say it's minus. You might have to hit and try this and see where your icon is exactly fitting inside. Let's say minus 10 is too much, minus 8. Okay, this seems fine. So now your icon is going to move inside the graph. You can make it move outside with a plus sign. Maybe that's what we can do as well. Let me show you. So if I add a plus value, so it's going to move outside the graph whenever this bar chart moves, or you can make it move inside. So let's say now the value changes tomorrow. So these two columns will be hidden, and this is your actual data. So let's say tomorrow the number of females in the company increases to 30, and the graph moves accordingly with it. And that's how you make an infographic. You can have it inside or outside, that's your choice. You can always adjust these columns, but they will always be linked with this, and accordingly whenever there is an adjustment, accordingly the graph will move with the icons themselves. So tomorrow, now we don't need these temporary icons. You can delete them, keep them, your choice. But that's how you actually manage to make an infographic in Excel which is dynamic and updates with the data. If you have any confusion, then please leave a comment, and I will be sure to answer to your queries. Thank you.